you just kind of have to indulge.
On the cabinet there somewhere.
Oh, you did? Oh.
Are you
Is that
taking
the
a
day
picture of
after?
my stuff?
17th
I
and
didn't know they were Axie sons.
you might hand me a biscuit too, honey, if you would.
Oh, your mother never gave you any.
Very natural. Yeah. Not supposed to jump up and swing from the rafters or what.
Father, we're thankful for this time we have together.
Were you talking about Daddy and your uncle?
I already dealt with you.
They're in there.
I'm enjoying this day because all of my children and grandchildren are here, except Kathy. And we miss her.
And how's the fish?
Wonderful. Very, very good.
Then they'll catch you and they'll throw you in that pen and they'll sell you.
I do see some stains on your pants. Did you win or did the cow win?
I think Luke won.
Rachel.
The cow versus man battle?
He outran me. Outran Jeremy.
He's in the pen. That's pretty much what matters.
Excellent.
He said he ended up in the pen.
Well, heck knows them.
Who does?
I don't like it.
We got about the same number of people talking. Yeah.
Yay!
You ready for that one?
Carry 'em, Rachel.
That's the governor.
Our governor. Okay.
Sure do need to circle up April 25th.
To where we can get.
We need, we can put together a pretty good group down there.
Taking down the middle and he's got across the road. Taking 90 miles an hour, taking 40 feet of jump. Ain't never been naughty, ain't never been trees. Some folks say it's a lot of winter's coming in autumn just. Yeah, well he's been going taking 30 feet of jump. Ain't never been naughty, a lot like me. Well, in 1865 in Rocky, Colorado, survival was a skill. It was no place for a wife, or she might lose her life to a man who would cheat and kill. Now stories of gold came down from the mountains and the prospectors in. They would give it very slow for a skin full of gold, and that's how our story began. Oh, Alfred Thacker, you voracious man-eater, you should have been skinned alive. There were only 7 Democrats in Hinsdale County, and now you done have 5. Now Alfred was a man who knew his native land, and he'd show you around for a fee. He was high-five guys with green in their eyes to go on a gold hunting spree. While the rations ran out and the blizzard began to wind, they would travel for many a dime. And unable any longer to control that great hunger Alfred had in a little time. Now several weeks later came Wilfred Packer down a winding mountain trail. He swore by his dead mother that they'd all kill each other, but they threw old Alfred into jail. Now people of town, they all drew around on Alfred's trial day. He'll hang was the rumor, but the judge in good humor, surprised when the reed did say, "Oh, Alfred Packer, you voracious man-eater, you should have been skinned alive. There were only 7 Democrats in Hinsdale County, and now you've done had 5.
Have you ever heard that?
Pretty. There are your eyes. Same eyeballs. Same eyeballs.
You remember that one?
I never did have that one. I think we're done, Rachel.
Here with how you made it.
I'll trust you.
There's always camera.
In Texas, down by San Antonio.
Everybody want to gather around, we're going to have a prayer before we have the meal.
Birthday. And Lord, we know that you promised us 70 and 10, and we thank you for all the extra you've given us, and ask for many more in a selfish way, Lord.
And the camera is looking at you smiling.
Right there.
Wonderful times growing up. Even before that, when I was little, I remember her reciting the wreck of the Hesperus. I grew up thinking that these morbid poems that were really a downer were pretty normal, but somehow for Mother that was normal, and we just loved her so much. Recently, she's had some terrible health problems, and for about 9 or 10 years, we've been amazed that God has spared her life to be with us. We prayed specifically about 5 or 6 years ago that she would be granted some time to have a peaceful time with her family, and that she would be blessed with longevity and peace. And for those of you who haven't been through the trials that she has been through, if a cat has 9 lives, she's probably lived over her limit. She's been so near death so many times, it's just incredible. But God has blessed her with a long life and a happy life, especially here lately with peace in her life, and her family gathered around about her.
I've got it. All through my life, she's played a great part, dear mother, oh mine. she's the pride of my heart. She told me things I must not do, and led my steps aright. And when I found the days were dark, she always seemed them bright. She meets life's battles like a knight, and fights them like a man. And everything she does, to me, she seems so grand. 50 years, odd years, she's worked for me with glee. She's made life sacrifices with a will. Dear mother o' mine, she's the queen of the hill. And I scratched some things down on a piece of paper too.
There's some solid color paper here. Turn it around, there's cards on this side.
I'll have another idea.
She's serious. That's the second time she said that today. That's good. It was a special store that has special stuff. Okay, Dollar bought you that. From what?
It looks like it's loaded with something. The young kids came and put it together. I stayed on Becky got all the other stuff.
Many days.
Many days. So, Grandma, what was it like getting married at almost 17?
What was it like? Kind of scary. It was scary. Didn't I tell you yesterday? I wished I was back with my mother. The further away I got from home. I was afraid of your grandpa.
Why?
Oh, he was a scary critter.
You're afraid of him, but you got married to him anyway?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
I don't know. I was afraid of all the boys.
Why did you end up marrying him?
I don't know. Lack of sense, I guess.
A sense that it'd be all right?
I guess. I thought I loved him. I guess I did. Young love.
Uh-huh. But you had already filled up your jacket full of names, though.
I didn't have another space for another guy on my jacket. On my lapel.
Right. Well, tell me about your wedding.
It wasn't just a simple wedding at the minister's house. My high school teacher married, did the ceremony. He was a preacher. And just had my sister and his best friend and the minister's wife and his mother and dad and little sister.
Your parents were not too happy about the whole prospect.
My dad was, but my mother wasn't. She didn't want me to get married too young.
But neither one of them came to the wedding?
No.
Why?
Because Daddy was afraid to leave Mother, and Mother was on the porch crying when I left. Wasn't that awful of me to leave my mother crying?
Well, you have your own life, I guess. So, where did you go as soon as you got married? Where did you move to?
As soon as I got married, well, we went on a honeymoon down to Corpus Christi. We rented a cabin down on the beach. We stayed there 3 days, and then we started back toward home. We went to my brother's and stayed a couple of days with them, then home back home. So we lived with his parents for a while.
Did you know what you were going to do as a, for making money?
Well, he was a baker, so he was working for the Houston Oil Company when we married. And at that time, he had $90, and that was a big pile of money in those days. But we spent it almost all of it on root beer floats.
Well, that's a good investment.
Yeah. Well, he had he got a job then at a bakery, down in Beeville. So my sister had a new house she just built, well, she didn't build it, of course, but she had it built, and she let us move in it, and so he worked in the bakery, and I'd meet him every afternoon at the bakery, and we'd go get some more root beer floats, and
Tell me what Edwin was like. Was he a quiet guy? Tell me what he was like.
He was quiet. He wasn't a rowdy guy. He was just sort of quiet, nice, and I liked everyone.
So would he go to church with you?
No, he didn't. He would have gone to any other church besides the Church of Christ.
Oh, really? So was he a Baptist?
He was raised Catholic. Then he joined the Baptist church, and he wanted me to be a Baptist, but
You weren't going to have any part of that.
well, at first I was, but then my dad didn't believe in the Baptist, so he talked me out of it.
So what did you do for fun back when he was a baker?
We went to the show a lot. We went downtown to the show, and we went to the drugstore and ate root beer floats, and we would drive out to the Circle Inn and get hamburgers that big around, those huge hamburgers for 25 cents with everything on them, and olive sitting up in the middle of them. And I always gave him my olive, because I didn't like olives then.
Excuse me.
It scared Susie today.
So what were you doing at the time when he was working as a baker?
Oh, nothing. Just clean the house and wait for him to come home. Usually I'd walk down there. There was a boy lived next door that I'd known for, all through school. And he would walk with me so I wouldn't be by myself at night. And if we'd buy him a can of pineapple juice, one of those cans of pineapple juice that big, he'd clean our whole house for us.
This boy?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
He loved pineapples.
That's an interesting payment. So, what kind of hours did he hold?
He'd work until 12 at night.
Oh my
usually.
goodness.
And sometimes, he had different shifts. Sometimes he'd be on the shift from, so I don't remember what time, until 12. Sometimes he'd be on the morning shift. Just different times.
Well, tell me about when you were thinking about having kids. What was it like then?
Well, you had to think hard because it was pretty hard to make a living back in those days. So we didn't have our first baby until about 3 years. Close to it, like in just a few days, been 3 years. Raining.
Okay. So what was Gene like when he came along? What kind of kid was he?
He was a sweet little kid. He didn't know how to play with other kids though, because he was 4 years old before he got a little brother. And when we'd go to Mother's and all of the grandkids would come, all he knew what to do was just stand and yell just as loud as he could while the rest of the kids were playing.
So he was noisy?
Well, he was excited. See, he'd just start yelling. They'd all start playing games and everything. He'd just stand on the sideline and yell until.
Well, he must have been excited when he heard a little brother was coming along.
Yeah. He did. He thought it was going to be a little sister because we had told him we were going to get him a little sister and name her Joy Beth. And so when he found out she was a little boy, he said, take him back, and get Joy Beth. And he wouldn't have anything to do with him. When we brought him home, put him in a little bed, and for several days he wouldn't touch him, he wouldn't go around him, and he had real black hair like you.
Jean did?
No,
Darwin.
And so every time I'd look at Darwin, Jean would grab me and pull my face around, he'd say, Mommy, Jeannie loves you.
A little bit of a jealousy there.
Yeah, and so, but finally, when I pretended I was asleep and I was watching him, and he went over there to the crib and he looked to see if I was watching him, and he reached through there and he got a little piece of your daddy's hair. He was feeling it, and he said, Darling R.
What'd he say?
Darling R. He thought Darwin Roy. He said, Darling R.
So what kind of a personality did Darling R have?
Darling R. He was just a sweet little calm boy. Never did raise any fuss. Jean was around her and Richard was around her.
So I understand that Darling R was a ladies' man from the get-go.
Very beginning, from the word go.
Tell me about him and his tab at the store.
Well, we bought this bakery. Did you ever hear this story, Darwin? Jeremy?
Jeremy.
Is that who you are? Well, he would go next door. The butcher had a little girl just almost his age. And he would get her by the hand and lead her down the sidewalk and go to the drugstore next door and get her up on a stool and order for both of them. And he'd say, charge it to my daddy. So,
and how old was he at this time?
Just 3 years old.
Put it on the account.
Yeah, and so finally the druggist came over to the bakery and he said to your grandpa, he said, Mr. Scibe, would you like to come and pay your son's bill? He said, my son? How does my son have a bill? And he said, well, he's been setting this little girl up little Emma Ann up for all this time and charging it to you. So I think it was $27 he had.
Goodness gracious, that's a lot of money.
That was a lot of money then.
Wow.
So he kept saying he was going to marry Emily Ann. So, but when he was in high school, well, he said all of a sudden he looked up and there was Emily Ann. She was grown up, of course, and they had moved to San Antonio and she was going to the same school.
But he never went out and got her a milkshake.
No, he wasn't interested in her anymore. And she wasn't him, I guess.
Uh-huh. So what did my dad do? Did he go out fishing? I mean, has he done that his whole life?
Yeah, he fished all of his, ever since he was just a little bitty boy. He'd fish for the cats and the.
What do you mean?
Well, he'd put the foot tub full of water and sit on the pond bank and catch a little perch and put those perch in the foot tub, and so the kiddies could get them. And we'd ask him, why don't you just throw them out there on the bank and let the kiddies get them? He said, I have to work and they have to work. So he'd make them catch their own.
Kind of a sense of justice.
Yeah, they'd do like this, bat those little perch out on the ground, and then Susie, you can't go out.
So it was a while though until you had another one. What did the boys make of the new baby?
Well, they were thrilled to death over him. Just thrilled out of their skin. They measured his little arms every day when they'd come home from school to see if his arms grew in length. Jean, first his whole arm was just the length of Jean's finger.
Uh-huh.
And that was Richard, And he'd come up and they'd go to the crib the minute they'd get home from school and measure his arms and legs to see if he grew that day. Well, they were thrilled to death over it. And he followed them every step they took.
So what were you doing all this time? Were you a full-time mom, or did you have jobs on the side?
I was a full-time mom.
And you were in San Antonio by this time?
No, we lived down in Carpus until Richard was about 11 months old. And then we moved back to San Antonio. And your grandpa got a job working as a carpenter there. And we lived in his sister's house while we started building our house. And then first he built a 2-car garage, and we stayed in the garage. You know, he made a little kitchenette and everything in there, and a bathroom. And we stayed in there while they were building.
Mm-hmm.
So they built our house there. We moved in it, brand new.
Excellent. So tell me about where did you live with some army men back when you were first married?
Yeah, we lived with this army sergeant and his wife.
This is U.S. Army?
Mm-hmm. And he got jealous of Grandpa. He thought because he was helping his wife water the plants, that they had set out a lot of trees and everything. He accused her dad, Grandpa, of flirting with his wife. So we had to move. That was just before Jean was born.
Uh-huh.
So we moved back with Grandma and Grandpa. Grandpa came and moved us. We didn't have very much to move back then.
Was it ever difficult for you to be married so soon? Did you think that you shouldn't have done that, or?
No, I was happy with all my little kids.
Right. Well, tell me about when Rick was growing up. Where were you, and what was going on?
Well, we moved in our new house when Richard was a little past 11 months old. And I guess no, he was about 18 months old by then. We moved in a new house, and we lived there until all the boys except Richard was married.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved here to Missouri. Mm-hmm. And Richard met Ruby, and he was going with a bunch of girls, and I said, why don't you look at that cute little girl at church? And he said, that's because she's just a little girl. Come to find out, she was just 11 months younger than him.
It turned out to be
And
Ruby.
he got real interested then. And there's the result. Sitting right there.
So we've been having nice breakfast since I've been here and visiting you. Has breakfast always been a major part of the Scibe life?
Especially on the weekends when everyone was home.
Tell me how the breakfast usually went.
All my life, breakfast was a real important meal. At my home, before I married, we just enjoyed breakfast, all of us together. What do you want to know about that?
Well, did you get up real early and make the biscuits, and what was the game plan every morning?
Well, I didn't when it was work day. They would just sort of eat cereal or toast, and but on the weekends was very important. We had hot biscuits and sausage, and gravy, and a whole bit, scrambled eggs, fruit,
Excellent.
jelly, and peanut butter, and syrup, and would always mix the peanut butter with the syrup and pass it out to, give each one of them a big blob of that on their plate, so they could have it with their hot biscuits.
Right. Tell me about moving to Missouri. What was that like?
Well, Grandpa got hurt on the job, and he couldn't work anymore, so he kept wanting to move somewhere to the country because he couldn't stand the smell of the fumes from the cars anymore. And so we came out here and looked. We went to your dad's wedding, and on our way back, we came through Missouri. and we looked at places, and we looked at this farm. And that's where he wanted to be because it was way off the road. Because, he didn't want to be where he just said he didn't want to ever hear a milk truck. He didn't want to ever hear a siren. He wanted just to be out in the countryside. So we built a house out there and moved.
So he kept cattle and
He raised cattle and a couple of pigs and chickens and dogs and cats and kids. No, I'm kidding.
kids. So once he died, you soon were stuck out in the middle of the forest by yourself. So how did Euless come about?
Well, he was Grandpa's friend. They would meet when Grandpa would go to the mailbox to get the mail. He'd ride his horse down there, and he'd get in the truck with Grandpa, and they'd talk. And he'd come down to the house and try to buy pigs from Grandpa and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't know how it happened. The neighbor, one of my friends, the neighbor and friend, she started inviting us to play dominoes at her house, and I think she was a matchmaker, really. So she got worried about me living back in the woods by myself.
It sounds like, from what you said earlier, that you had to be coerced into getting with Euless just as you had to convince yourself to get with Edwin. Tell me about how Euless got you to marry him.
How he got me to marry him? He just said, "I'm going to marry you." He didn't say, "Will you marry me?" He just said, "I'm going to marry you." So he kept telling me that until I believed it.
And tell me about your wedding to Euless.
Got married at 12 o'clock at night because it took me that long to make up my mind to go through with it.
Where was all this happening?
When down there at West Springs.
Were you at a church or in somebody's house? Or?
At the minister's house. And he waited up for us until 12 o'clock. And his wife had already gone to bed, and he had his house shoes on. And so when we got there, it was 12 o'clock. And Rita and Walter, friends and neighbors, went with us, and Jeremy's mother and dad, Richard and Ruby, they stood up with us.
And he was 69, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were 55?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, tell me what you and Euless would do for fun. Would you guys still play dominoes and that kind of thing?
We'd all meet and play dominoes, and we'd ride around, go to that place where I took you yesterday. And we went to all the caves, not caves, the springs and everything. We just traveled around and looked at everything. We'd go to Michigan every once in a while, see his daughter. And he liked to do a lot of things, go places. He liked to go a lot. And so we'd go to Texas and come up here to see Richard and Ruby
And the kids.
play dominoes and dominoes and dominoes.
Well, in recent years, have you enjoyed moving a little bit closer to your kids?
I sure do. I'm glad to be near them, because I didn't want to live out there so far by myself.
Well, what do you enjoy to do now?
My garden and my kitty cat. Fix something to eat for these once in a while. And I enjoy you coming down and staying with me. Your mom and dad and Brett.